every freaking day, every single day. And the problem here is that what I have found when we go too low on punishment with repeat offenders, I have found that they wrap their car around a pole the next week. And that's why I have an extremely hard time of taking another proverbial slap on the wrist if you've even had one dismissed. Because who's to say you've learned anything? All you have to do is push a button on your freaking phone. $30 to $40 on an Uber will take you anywhere you need to go. Do you understand how much money have you paid them to represent you? How much money have you paid to represent on the first freaking DWI? And now you're back. I'm going to tell you, if you act like a child, I'm going to treat you like a child. And I'm going to put you over my knee. I'm going to spank you like a little child. You come back here, but I'm going to do it with a ton of jail time. Do you understand?
Hey, how you doing? I do have a plea for you today on Mr. Bryant.
You say Mr. Bryant?
Yes, Jason Bryant.
Okay. Good morning, Mr. Bryant. Oh.
So it is actually not a second.
Your Honor, if I may, it's not a second because our investigator reached out to the county and found that the records were expunged. So
It's still,
Your Honor, under the code, you can't use expunged records for purpose of enhancement. And we reached out to appellate to confirm that as well as other people, as well as from the AG's office, and they've all.
so what happened? Did it get dismissed?
So
Expunged?
it's a conviction that was
You still
expunged.
enhance it to a second?
We can't use
Not
the
with an
expunged records,
expunction.
Your Honor.
Technically, they shouldn't even know about it.
Yes, that's the issue. So for that reason is why we put a reduction to a first.
So
Yes.
we could refile it as a first, but we're not allowed, like per our appellate division, we can't use it for enhancement purposes, like to upcharge to a second.
Here's the thing. You've already had one that's dismissed. You now pick up another one, right? You know, when do we say when? When do the proverbial slaps on the wrist stop? You know, how old are you now?
41.
You're 41. When do we get it? You know, do you watch the news? How many times a day do people die in Harris County because of the DWI? Every freaking day, every single day. And the problem here is that what I have found when we go too low on punishment with repeat offenders, I have found that they wrap their car around a pole the next week. And that's why I have an extremely hard time of taking another proverbial slap on the wrist if you've even had one dismissed. Because who's to say you've learned anything? Tell me about the facts, will you, please?
Yes, Judge. One moment, Judge. So the facts were the officers were dispatched to a major crash call, and a witness stated he arrived at the accident, observed the defendant sitting in the driver's seat of the vehicle with the engine still on, and saw the defendant get out of the vehicle and sit by a tree. The officers observed the defendant to be sitting under the tree near the vehicle and was.
Did you say there was an accident?
It was a single car
It was a single
accident,
accident.
Judge.
He had hit a tree, and then he was being treated by HFD upon the arrival of the officers. And the defendant's vehicle had right bumper damage and windshield down and the glove box open from the accident. And that's when the officers found a
2 guns.
a loaded handgun on the sidewalk and another single 9mm near the vehicle. And then the officers then shot watery eyes, slurred speech, and a strong odor of alcohol coming from the defendant. And the defendant was unable to walk due to the injuries from the accident. So the defendant admitted to driving, crashing the vehicle, and owning the firearm. He also admitted to consuming the alcohol. And that's when the defendant was transported to Memorial Hermann by ambulance and was unable to perform SFSTs due to the hospital visit. And a blood draw was performed.
What was the blood?
It came back at 0.153.
Did you guys enhance it to a 15 above?
No, Your Honor, we did not.
How did they even charge it as a second when you're telling me that it's been expunged?
Originally, it was charged using the expunged records because they only ran an NCIC, and for some reason it came up on NCIC when it shouldn't have. That's the issue.
Forever, for the rest of your life, you now see, even if it's expunged, people still see it. Doesn't matter. You know, in the future, going forward, what do you think is going to happen if you get pulled over and an officer looks at your record? Right. From now on, you're looking at a minimum of 30 days in jail. I'm going to tell you now, Mr. Bright, I don't want to take this. I don't think it's fair. I don't on any seconds because, there has to be consequence for behavior and it's not fair. This is the last time you will get a proverbial slap on the wrist. I want you to understand that. Anytime you get pulled over, they're going to see all this. You will get taken down. All you have to do is push a button on your freaking phone. $30 to $40 on an Uber will take you anywhere you need to go. Do you understand how much money have you paid them to represent you? How much money have you paid to represent on the first freaking DWI? And now you're back. I'm going to tell you, if you act like a child, I'm going to treat you like a child and I'm going to put you over my knee and I'm going to spank you like a little child. You come back here, but I'm going to do it with a ton of jail time. Do you understand? Sir. You're giving up the right to a trial, right to compel witnesses to testify on your behalf, confront and cross-examine your accusers. If you're not a citizen, there are possible immigration consequences. You can be deported, excluded from naturalization. You give up the right to appeal once you accept this agreement. You can never change this or undo this. Do you understand? Yes, how to plead to the offense of driving while intoxicated. Yes, I will find you guilty. I will sentence you to 3 days in jail. I'll give you credit for 1. I'm going to suspend your license for a year. Do not drive until you get a license. I am also now going to hit you with this DPS surcharge that you will be required to pay. That is a $3,000 surcharge you're going to be required to pay. You will also be required to pay the court costs, which are around $400 to $500. And I'm going to tell you, we're going to get it one way or the other, because if you don't, every $100 that you owe, you will be sitting 1 day in jail. So you can imagine on a $35,000 to $4,000 bill right now that you're going to get, how much you will sit in jail. Sure. I want you to understand that we will not tolerate DWIs in Harris County, and we're going to get blood one way or the other. Do you understand? Yes, sir. It's just not fair when it's so easy to find another way. I like to drink. I like to drink a lot. I love my mules, really, really spicy. And I love to go out with my wife. How do you think I do it though? Right. And then I can just be towed, but that's the responsible thing to do. And I hope that you really get it from now on, because God forbid you do something that you really can't walk away from. Do you understand? Sure. All right. Good luck. Thank you. Hi, Ms. Brown. How are you? I'm sorry to see you in this circumstance. You now picked up a terroristic threat, serious bodily injury. You're facing a year in jail. The thing that I told all them that I'm happy that you didn't follow through. That, sticks and stones, right? But words can hurt sometimes, right? As you now see, you've now picked up a new case. I don't know how we go forward now. What do we do? I don't know either. You're at 19, right? Where do we go? Because you had a home to go to, but we don't know if we can put you back in the home. No way under any circumstance am I going to let you just out on the street. That's a death sentence. Because where would you go? Who are you going to be with? How are you going to eat? I can't do that. We can't just give you a PR bond. I have to know where you're going to go, who you're going to be with, so we don't set you up for failure. Do you know the phone number to that house? Have you given it to Josh? Okay. Don't say it out loud. If you can write it down, we're going to try to get in contact with them. We can call now so that we can see if they're willing to take you back, and then we'll go from there, because I don't know how we're going to go forward. I don't want to let you out on the street. Is there anyone here, do you know, for her? You've been in contact with the caseworker, social worker, or no?
There's a caseworker and then also her appointed guardian also.
Have you talked to them lately?
Not since this new case.
Okay, so I guess, can we try to do that today? Let's roll it to tomorrow. Let's see, are they gonna accept her back? If not, how do we go forward? I don't want to keep you here for a long time, but I don't know how to go forward at this time. So let's give it a day. Let's see what Josh can find and then we'll bring you back, okay? All right, sticks and stones, I'm glad that you didn't follow through. That's good. Now, we have to get you to learn self-control so that you don't flip out. That's the name of the game now. All right? Think about it. Okay. All right. Thanks. Antonio.
Good morning, Your Honor. This is a new appointment, Sandra Dawn Stumbo. It's a 2019 case.
Yes.
State, apparently there's no evidence, and I guess they want to evaluate it for dismissal.
Yes, Judge, right now, we just put in the request, because at the time, I guess they didn't request the body cam and dash, so we just, yes, Judge.
Oof.
We're gonna reach out to see if we can get that within the next week or so, 2 weeks.
No. I'm not going long. I mean, this case is, if you guys didn't do it back then, hey,
Yes,
this
Judge,
case is
which
over
is why
2,000 days old.
That we're gonna look, see what we do have, and we'll likely be willing to dismiss after we look at it briefly.
Okay, let's set it a week.
Yes, sir.
I'm not going to waive her appearance.
All right.
Come up, Miss Stumbo. If you ever take off on me again, there are going to be so many zeros behind that bond. You're going to be looking at 15 eyes. Do you understand? You must be back in a week so we can determine where we're going to go with this case.
Can I explain why?
Doesn't matter. You have to understand, your excuse goes in one ear, goes out the other. The only thing that matters are choices. You can either make a good choice in life or you can make the wrong choice. When you show up to court, good things happen. And when you don't, there's consequence. You're old enough to understand that. Like I said, you take off on me again, get ready, because it's going to be a long ride. Okay, Antonio, we'll see you in a week.
Thank you, Judge.
Thanks, bud.
Hey, Judge, I had a quick question for you also on Booker. So you said that we could reset her. She went and did a drug test today and was clear.
Great.
So I was gonna see if we could reset her out till after the new year. She'd been coming back for GED proof.
That's right. Yeah, I'm okay with
She
that.
showed me, she's called, almost a dozen different places. She's working to get into it. I think with I think it's the timing of the year. It's somewhere.
Come on, Ms. Booker.
Yeah.
But that's like a month, and I want to make sure that, is she in and doing the studies or she hasn't gotten in yet?
She showed me a lot of screenshots. People are responding and we're gonna get back to you. And she's spoken with people in person.
Yeah, I spoke
So
to,
what's happening?
I spoke to Mr. Charles Jackson on the career and recovery. He
Oh,
says,
yes. Isn't that the guy that we spoke to?
Last time she was here, we spoke to him on the phone.
Was it regarding her case or was that someone else?
I want to say hers.
So we didn't have the specific
Yeah.
last time we were here. We got the list at the end of the last session.
yeah.
Who was that with?
But he said he wasn't taking any clients until January 8th. And
Oh, this is a great guy. We had him on another person. And remember, I called and it wasn't her, Stephen. It was someone else. And God, who was it?
me on his
It
list.
was Connor's client, statutory.
Here, see,
Yes, right. Good job. Dang, you're the best. You're so good.
Yeah,
He's a good guy. I like him.
I did speak to him.
Okay, so then if he's, okay, I'm willing to wait for you to get with Mr. Jackson.
List.
But
Okay, yeah.
get on the list. Don't mess around.
I'm not, of course.
Okay, so what did he say? What day?
He said January 8th is when he's taking new clients.
So let's set you for January 9th. I want to make sure that you get in with this guy, okay? If for some reason that day you don't get in, I'm gonna call him myself.
Okay.
So that one way we'll get, okay? But just call him back, say, hey, man, I talked to my judge. Judge is cool with it. We're gonna wait for me to get in with you guys because he knows you and he likes you.
Okay.
So that way it's more kind of, you build a rapport with this person, okay?
Thank you.
Do that and we'll wait for you to get in and we'll get you out with that GED one way or the other. Okay? All right. Thanks, Josh. All right. Good job. This is number 4. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. Okay, Logan.
On August 12th, 2024, at about 1 in the morning, stop on a vehicle, stopping past the stoplight at a red light. Officers observed the odor of marijuana upon approach. The defendant was the operator of the car. PC search uncovered marijuana in the back of the front passenger seat. The defendant admitted the marijuana was 15.5 grams.
So the stop was for stopping in front of a red?
It's the little white line. He passed into the intersection. The red light.
Sir,
He gets into the crosswalk.
The officer told me something else that he pulled me up.
you have the right to remain silent. Exercise that right. I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with the case. Mr. Aguilar, do you have a Texas driver license?
No.
Can you run his license, Logan, please?
Suspend it. Because when I got pulled over, I showed him my license.
Just because you have a license doesn't mean that it's valid. At some point, you may have to renew it, you may have to do something else, or you may have tickets, and if you don't take care of it, they suspend your license. Your license is now suspended. They just checked with DPS. You will be signing an affidavit, which is a promise that you're going to make with me, Mr. Jameson Aguilar, that you're not to use or drive any car whatsoever. And if I find that you do, I will have a contempt hearing. You'll be facing an additional 6 months in jail and a $500 fine every time you get into a car. And I don't care what you do. I don't care where you're going. I don't care how you try to justify it. You will be doing a lot of time in jail. Do you understand me? I'm also ordering you not to use any alcohol or illegal drugs. How old are you? How old are you?
So
What do you do for a living?
I buy, sell cars sometimes, and I work once in a while. I had a job, but I got fired from my job, so I'm looking for a job. I'll be doing no side jobs and stuff.
Where do you live?
I know you used to rosin.
How much dope was in the car?
It was 15.5 grams. Additionally, when I read his driver's license, it looked like his license had 12 current suspensions for driving without insurance.
How many?
12.
You have 12? Did you say 12 tickets?
12 suspensions. I assume those are long.
Yeah, all the suspensions are DWLI, and right under the DWLI, it says no liability insurance, and that looks to be like indefinite, so.
Did you hear what they just said?
Yes, sir.
12 different suspended license cases. If I see you drive, I will literally hit the roof because I will be so upset. And if I get upset, I'm going to unleash on you, and it's not going to be in a good way. I'm now sending you for a drug test, and I'm ordering you to come back again tomorrow so we can talk about it. And when you come back at 8:30 in the morning, not at 11, not at 10:02, not at 11:42, 8:30 in your seat tomorrow. Do you understand? Then we will talk about your situation as far as what you're doing with work, whether you graduated high school, and what you're doing with your life. Mr. Jameson Aguilar, you have now, from 2021, a prior evading arrest, a felony theft from a person, another theft, an aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, fleeing, attempting elude police officers, possession of marijuana, possession of marijuana, it changes now. Do you understand?
I don't get in trouble. It's just little stuff. Been changed my life around. I'm a whole
You done
different
changed
person.
nothing. If you think you've changed, then I'm Dorothy from the Wizard of Oz.
Get in trouble. I don't do no dumb stuff, not no crash dummy, none of that. That's when I was 17, 18 years old. I'm 22.
You're in front of me now with another criminal case. And if you don't think this is nothing,
It's because I buy cars and I ain't clean my car. That's what
Mr. Aguilar, I'm sending you for a drug test now. And then I want you back here tomorrow. And we are going to examine your life in full to see where we go from here, to make sure that you end up on the up and up. Do you understand? That's what we're doing.
you send me for a drug test and I'm gonna come out
Right.
at the end.
I know you're going to be dirty, but I want to know. I know you're going to be dirty. I want to know what is in your system. And I want to know. And if you fail to show up tomorrow, or if you fail to go for the drug test right now, I'm going to make your bond so high, your head's going to be spinning 30 miles an hour. Do you understand? Okay. You tested positive for marijuana only, correct?
Yes.
Mr. Aguilar, you will be tested 31 days from today. If you test positive for marijuana again, you will go to jail. And I'm going to make your bond extremely high. Do you understand? Yes or no? Did you graduate from high school?
GED.
Do you have your GED?
Yeah, it's at home.
Okay. What are you doing with yourself now?
Shit, I work with my dad, cut yards.
I want you to get a full-time job. You understand? Like a legitimate 40-hour week, a job. You have too much time on your hands and you're getting into trouble nonstop, over and over and over, to the tune of now, was it 9 cases? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm done with it. And I'm done with you picking up cases. And the only way this is going to stop is if you start becoming a productive member of our society. That's what I expect from you. Do you understand? So you either get a full-time job or get into school full-time. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring you back in 2 weeks from today. And I want you to show me what you have done to get a job. If you have done nothing and you not put any applications in, life between you and I will not go well. Do you understand? I will notate absolutely everything that transpires now. When you come back in 2 weeks, I want to see proof of your GED. You understand? I want you to bring it to me so I can see it. Okay, Josh, let's set it off 2 weeks to see what he's done to get a job, and then he has to bring proof of his GED as well. And then we'll go from there. If you've done nothing to find a full-time job, I'm telling you, I'm not going to be happy. If I'm not happy, things just won't go well. Do you understand, Mr. Aguilar? Above all else, do not use any dope whatsoever or alcohol. You stand charged with now assault, bodily injury. You're facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present during questions and interviews with the state of Texas. If you cannot afford a lawyer will be appointed to represent you, sir.
On April 15th at 5454 Washington Avenue, officers were dispatched an assault in progress involving weapons call at Clutch Bar parking lot. Lorenzo Castillo was arguing with an individual in the parking lot.
He's at He's at a bar?
Parking lot.
It's a restaurant too. He was the designated driver, but they didn't say he was intoxicated or anything like that.
To Clutch Bar, but it was the parking lot of it. Officers were able to detain 2 other co-defendants, Isaac Bravo and Carlos Ventura, based on witness statements. Complainant 1 stated that the defendant, Lorenzo Castillo, swung at him first and he defended himself. The co-defendants then began beating him up at the same time, but was able to see how many more suspects were beating him up at the same time. Complainant one stated that he did feel pain as well to press charges. Complainant one had major injuries to his face and was checked out on scene by HFD, but did not want to get transported. Complainant two knows Lorenzo Castillo, the co-defendant. Complainant two stated that the defendant and several other suspects were beating on her boyfriend and she was hugging her boyfriend in attempts to defend him. Complainant two stated she was also struck by several punches by the defendant, Lorenzo Castillo, and other suspects. The complainant two had blood on her hands and clothing, but she stated that the blood was from her boyfriend's injuries. Complainant two pointed out a bump on her head and stated she felt pain from that bump. Witnesses viewed the defendant and co-defendants assaulting complainant one and tried to separate the complainant two from the incident as she was getting assaulted. Defendant Castillo and co-defendant Carlos Ventura went and opened the door to the car and continued to assault complainant one. Witness one stated that the defendant is a family friend and he knows the defendant's aunt. Witness two, who stated that the complainants and him were walking towards a clutch bar and had a verbal argument with the defendant and co-defendants, but was able to de-escalate the situation. And later on that night, that is when the complainant was ultimately assaulted by the defendant and the co-defendants on scene.
Significant injuries, you said, huh?
Checked by HFD, Your Honor. I haven't checked because the complainant one stated on scene that he's going to go to the ER on his own. He didn't want to pay for the bill. So I'm going to check with that complainant to see if there's anything more and subpoena those records.
And Judge, the police report reads this when it says defendants. I think this offense report or whatever the summary is of 3 people. And so he's reading Ventura and he's reading Castillo. And they're the
defendant.
Well, it's convoluted and defendant in terms of there's nothing saying what he did. They said that Ventura and Castillo went and opened the car door, started fighting this guy. According to my client, he was the designated driver. They went into this place to go eat. The other guys were drinking. They had an argument with these people before going into the place. And when they come out, the argument ensues for whatever reason. My client says he tried to break it up and then a fight ensues. So that's where we're at. Like I said, he didn't, he was just in the middle of everything, but and the police report kind of reads like that. But I
asked you to do one thing. What did I ask you to do? Stay out of trouble. You picked up an assault. Now we're revoking your bond under DWI. You're going to jail. And I'm telling you now, you pick up a 3rd case, I'm going to make your bond so high, you're going to flip. You understand? I'm ordering you now not to have any contact with any of these people whatsoever. No weapons, no driving, anything. You understand? Let me see. I mean, I hope that there was not a bail order or there was a affidavit that you signed promising us you wouldn't drive, because then I'm going to have a contempt hearing.
his license is good. We won the ALR hearing.
Judge, who's this on?
Bravo. All right. So he goes with you now, and then I'm going to set the bond at 5,001 on the DWI, and then that's it.
You know what? Hang on to this, because I think they checked this in with you at jail. Because I don't know, I'm going to Washington for like a conference. Right, is that right? They'll be with his property, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna call you.
Is he in jail?
He's in custody, Judge.
Okay.
This is one of those cases where it's there go I or something, I think is the
They're
saying.
alive?
I'm sorry?
That they're alive?
No, it could be you, it could be me, just one of those, I think that's a saying. But just talking to this guy, he's not, there's a competency eval that I gotta submit, okay? The issue is that takes 30 days to come back. So he's gonna be sitting in jail for 30 days. We got an offer of time served on the fail to ID. And so he can't do that because I don't think he's competent. And so he's gonna be sitting in jail for 30 days. My understanding is, looking at his history, he's having situations in jail. He's telling me he's having situations in jail, and I understand that just talking to him, he would be susceptible to that. So basically what I'm trying to do is release him to a program, directly to a program, if they're able to hold him, if they have a bed for him. I'm trying to make that happen. I've talked to Pavel. He seems open to it with more info. I need to see if you're open to releasing him directly to the mental health center, the Harris Center, if I'm able to make that happen. But that would require a PR bond.
No. Because of how many times he's taken off on us.
I get
You
it.
know?
He's homeless, Judge.
I get it, but that doesn't excuse that your failure to come to court, right? You're still expected to come to court, especially with how many priors, he's got a laundry list of priors and some of them are serious, you know?
I get it.
Now he picked up another assault. What happened with this newest assault, Pavel?
Judge, he was on bond for assault and now he picked up a felon ID. And the assault though, that was January 18th. The defendant punched the complainant with a closed fist to her face to the point where she fell to the ground. Stated she felt pain. This all took place at the Behavioral Hospital for Mental Illnesses.
Let me give a little background if I may, Judge. So supposedly this all happened. He went to, first it's at a mental health.
Hold on a second, hold on. Do you mind bringing him out? He needs to hear this.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Sammy.
Bueno.
And Judge, actually you weren't here, Trinidad was here at the time. So Trinidad was originally on the ABI. When we were here, he was out on bond, he showed up, he sat here, and he had some concerns for his mental health because he was making comments at the time, so.
Like what kind of comments?
Suicidal comments. So we left him out on bond. Trinidad filed a motion saying he's competent, but he's hearing voices, like just, I guess, this is like a CYA kind of situation, but we have something on record saying he is competent, but, my understanding is today he may not be competent. That's why we're filing, that's why defense wants the motion for competency.
And Judge.
My only issue is that, great, we can send them there. How do we know that they're protected though?
Protected.
Right, what if he lets loose in another behavioral center in the MHMRA place?
That's the thing, Judge. I can't, we can talk to him. We can inquire as to why he missed those court dates. I think you'll see where I'm coming from. That's not relevant to these cases. It's a failed 2ID and it's an assault. Him missing the court date. If we just talk to him.
No.
You don't want to?
If I let him out to the MHMRA, the Harris Center, what's to say he doesn't go and beat everybody up there?
Yeah, I get it. I can't guarantee that. I get it, Judge. I get it. But I'm trying to get him some help, you know?
I get
30 days in jail is not the help, you know?
Mr. Bueno.
Yes, sir.
How are you? How's jail?
Jail been all right.
Do you know why you're here?
Yeah, for warrants.
Tell me again?
Warrants.
Come closer. Come to the bar. I can't hear you.
Warrants.
Correct. For what though?
No, just,
The assault.
assault. No.
You know what happened with the assault as to why you got arrested?
I was in a mental health hospital.
And then what happened?
Judge.
No, he's getting it. You're doing great, Mr. Bueno. You're doing fantastic.
Judge, this may go into.
Well, my point is that
I got hungry, and I asked the lady, I asked the guy for some food.
Judge, this is going in.
Okay, Mr. Bueno, your lawyer here, Mr. Laredo, wants to get you into the Harris Center to get you help. My fear is that if we do that, another assault will occur. And I do not want that to happen. The reason you are here is because no self-control. You must exercise self-control. Do you understand? That's why you were in jail. Because when you get angry, you start going like this. And that's not what we do. Do you understand? How do I know if we take you to the Harris Center that it's not going to happen again?
wasn't on my medicine at the time. I guess, taking my medicine, will help me to stay in self-control.
Are you taking it now? You're not taking your medication now?
Because I don't know which way, to how to get my medicine.
Can we get him into medical or something so we can get him to the medicine that he needs?
Judge, my understanding is that they're, based on what I have access to, he's on something. They're prescribing something, Risperdal, I think.
Let me see.
From what I'm able to check on. What I saw. So he's on something, to my understanding.
I'm supposed to be on 5 medicine. 5 different medicines.
Judge, and this is one of those cases where I don't want to say too much, you know, but.
We're here as.
Schizophrenia pops up so much on his history, Judge. For years, it's been popping up, and so it's. I mean, the only reason I say that, I'm trying to get him some help, Judge. I mean.
Mr. Bueno, I want to get you into the Harris Center, but I want the people at the Harris Center protected. I don't want you to do anything like what happened at the other place. Do you understand? I will give you one chance, but if you fail me again, you will be stuck with me in jail for a long time. I will only release him to the Harris Center. And we need to know that when you speak to the people at the Harris Center, that he knows that they know about the tendencies so that they are protected as well.
So if I could just give you an update on why I'm proposing this, Judge. I did this in court 6, maybe 3 weeks ago. The way this happened was, it was kind of the same situation where he needed help. I get in contact with somebody in the MAC. They tell me supposedly there's different programs or stuff. I explain to them what's needed. They make it happen with the Harris Center. We release him directly to the Harris Center, and then he gets his help. And then
I'm okay with that.
Okay. And
but like I said, only if he gets released to them and they pick him up and they take him directly there.
Right. That's what we were able to do last time, and that'd be their expectation this time as well.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
Okay. So I'm gonna roll it to what's today, Wednesday?
So
Friday?
perhaps reach out to Brad Morris so that we can get into like a mental health PTI or perhaps something like that, to that caliber, not necessarily a PTI or however they want to craft it. I don't care, but that they release them directly to the Harris Center.
Okay. I think Bell's kind of on board depending on what they say, but I'll keep working to that.
Judge, I think we should hold off on the PR bond until we have something set in stone.
I'm not giving them a PR bond today, of course.
I thought that was,
No.
I thought that was the direction where we're going.
No, nope. Not until I know where we signed the document and we have a releasing document to the actual Harris Center.
Yeah.
That's only until that.
My only concerns were, once I can file the order, but basically the Harris Center will just say, we don't have a basis. to hold
We're
it.
not ready yet.
Yeah,
Not ready. It's too premature.
And that's where
That's the route.
Yeah, that's where I'm getting in contact with Max, sure, and everything else, so I have answers for you guys, and with the idea that he's gonna be taken care of over there, and I'll come back with you guys, but everybody's on board, it seems like, so.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Bueno, self-control.
Yes, self-control. I'm trying to do that, self-control.
That's why everybody's in jail, because they have no self-control.
Start doing that self-control.
Good things will happen then.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Judge, thank you for the opportunity.
Ms. Williams, let's go through this. In June of 22, you had an interference that dismissed. In September of 2022, you had an injury to a child dismissed. In September of 23, an aggravated assault against a family member dismissed. Pursuant to that, you pled to a robbery and they put you on a probation for a robbery case. Since that time, you've now picked up in January of this year, a failure to stop being information. We gave you a bond, you got out. And now you've picked up another 2 cases. You picked up an evading arrest and a failure to identify oneself to a peace officer. Let's go through those. Do you mind going through probable cause on the 2 newest cases, please?
Yes, Your Honor. So on these cases, on April 13, 2024, officers were dispatched to an assault in Harris County, Texas. Officers arrived and observed a large crowd of people in the parking lot. Officer observed the defendant to be walking away from the scene. Officer told the defendant to stay at the location. Officer then spoke to an individual who stated 2 girls jumped her, and she has video of it. Complainant pointed out the defendant and stated she is one of the girls who jumped her. Defendant began to walk away again. Officer told the defendant to stop, and the defendant began running away from the officer. Officer chased the defendant. Defendant ran 100 feet before being caught. Defendant then gave the name of her sister. At JVC, officer read the defendant's prints that came back to the defendant. The warrant for arrest for the FSGI.
So she had the warrant out.
She had a warrant, I believe, for the.
Let me look at the demos just to be sure which warrant we're talking about. It's going to be warrant out from Judge Nelson's court in the 42nd.
Yes. So she picked up the FSGI. They subsequently filed the motion to adjudicate.
Got it.
That
Okay.
was the warrant that was issued. That was.
So here's what we're gonna do. I am now revoking your bond on the failure to stopping of information. And they gave you 2 PR bonds on your 2 newest cases. I don't think so. I'm now revoking those PR bonds as well, and I'm gonna raise those up as well. And I'm gonna tell you, if you do get out again, I'm gonna order you under home confinement. Because when you get out, nothing good happens. Do you understand, Ms. Williams? The only thing we want are streets to be safe. And does that happen? Okay, so,
It's not saying you're guilty of it, okay? And we're just saying we have right to a jury trial. We have to, it's just a matter of, the judge wants to make sure that you're safe and that everyone is safe if you get out, okay?
No.
All right.
The problem, Ms. Williams, is that you're on bond or on probation for a very serious robbery case where people go to prison for 20 years. The only thing we ask you to do is behave yourself. And when you put yourself in a situation where it's inevitable that bad things are going to happen.
Yeah, and Judge, I would like to say that Judge, beating in the failed ID, again, we're not conceding that they happen. We're just, but they are moments of being scared, Judge. I just, she's not out there.
I don't know. It sounds to me like she's not charged with another assault.
And again, Judge, it's just, she's not there stealing or anything else, some intentional thing. It is in the moment, it's obviously she's scared and she maybe makes a decision that she shouldn't make, but we'll look at the evidence, Judge, and approach.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you, Judge.
Yeah, for sure. So, for now, I'm going to set all the bonds at 5,003.
Yes, Judge.
And then we'll go from there, man.
We'll reapproach it. We'll get some more information, Judge.
Sure.
As well as when we get some information on the felony.
They're not going to file any new cases, are they? In the assault or anything?
That's unknown right now, but Your Honor, I think for now, the charges are just going to stay at this.
Yeah, okay. All right. Thanks, guys.
¿Cuál es su nombre, señor?
Antonio Vergara.
Ok, solo mira para allá. Antonio Vergara.
Vergara.
Your Honor.
Is it River?
27, be like boy.
Got it.
Vergara.
Vergara.
Ah, I said Vergara.
Yeah.
Are we doing a plea, Marjorie?
Yes, Your Honor.
What time are we looking at?
21 days.
Okay.
Mr. Belgada, you're charged with burglary of a vehicle. You are facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. You've worked out an agreement where they're offering you 21 days in jail with credit for the 22 days that you've done. You were giving up the right to a trial, right to compel witnesses to testify on your behalf, confront and cross-examine your accusers. If you are not a citizen, there are possible immigration consequences. You can be deported, excluded from the country, denied naturalization under federal law. You give up the right to appeal. Once you plead guilty, you can never change this. You understand? From now on, if you pick up any future cases, you will be facing a minimum of 90 days in jail. You must also understand that if you continue to pick up these burglary of a motor vehicle cases, they can use these to enhance you to a felony. And then you will be looking at serious time in prison. Not only that, you live in Texas. You mess with the wrong person, they're going to shoot you dead. Like it happened 2 weeks ago. You understand?
Yes.
How do you plead to the offense, sir?
Solo míralo, a él le dije, no me mira a mí, escuche muy bien. Guilty.
Find you guilty. I will follow the agreement. Good luck to you, sir.
Okay. Mr. Contreras, you're charged with 2 cases. You're charged with interference with the duties of a public servant, which I think is the one that's getting dismissed. In exchange for your plea on the reckless driving, you're facing up to 30 days in jail and or a $500 fine. You've worked out an agreement where they're offering you 3 days with 2 days credit. This will go now on your record. You are now facing a minimum of 30 days in jail if you ever pick up another case. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Let me make one more thing abundantly clear to you. To those people who act like a schlemiel in a car, the Texas legislature has made it extremely easy for them to take your car and seize it from you permanently. If you are caught racing, reckless driving, donuts, this type of act or street takeovers, I'm telling you, because we had a guy here last week on his second case, they took and they seized his car. This is now your first reckless driving. You pick up another one of these cases, it's very well possible they take your car from you permanently. Do you understand? You are giving up the right to a trial, right to compel witnesses to testify on your behalf, confront and cross-examine your accusers. If you're not a citizen, there are possible immigration consequences. You can be deported, excluded from the country, denied naturalization. You give up the right to appeal. So once you plead guilty to something, you can never change this. You will be stuck with this for the rest of your life. How do you plead to this offense? I'm extremely serious that I couldn't believe it myself when they came in here and he told me that they seized his car. I couldn't believe it, but they're doing it. So be very careful. The next time you race, you may lose it permanently. Good luck, guys. Thanks. I'll roll you. I'll roll it. Don't worry.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Davis. Thanks, guys.
The courtroom quickly turned tense as the judge dealt with multiple defendants accused of violating bond and probation conditions. In one of the most serious moments, the judge confronted Mr. Jones over 19 missed alcohol monitoring tests, repeated positive drug tests, and camera violations during required check-ins. Despite Jones begging for another chance and insisting he was trying to comply, the judge made it clear that the court had zero tolerance for repeated violations, ultimately increasing his bond because the court believed continued leniency would only enable more misconduct. The hearing then shifted to another defendant already on felony probation who picked up a new interference-related charge after allegedly resisting officers during a domestic disturbance investigation. Defense counsel argued the charge was legally weak and that the statute for interference with public duties was overly vague, while the judge focused on the lower legal standard of probable cause, explaining that the prosecution only needed enough evidence to continue the case, not prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. Throughout the session, the judge repeatedly emphasized accountability, warning defendants that violating bond conditions, failing drug tests, possessing weapons, or committing new offenses could immediately lead to jail. The hearing highlighted how courts balance public safety, rehabilitation, and constitutional rights while enforcing strict compliance from repeat offenders already under court supervision.